It's Friday, 12 noon, and that means it's time for another episode of the CVC Home Service Success Network. And last week, our show has topped over 22,000 views since last week. We're very appreciative of you guys and gals that listen to us. Hope you get some ideas. Hope you get some concepts that you can implement in your business. And also, we are rapidly approaching 300 episodes since I started this broadcast a few years ago. So again, we're moving on with the program. We'll top 300 in a month or two. So we're feeling really good about it. So today's topic, what is it? It's continuing education, continuous ongoing training. Is it a process for success? In my opinion, it is. I know it is because what I've witnessed out there in the real world of the companies that are really bearing down and doing continuous ongoing training. And as I go into this, I want to make you aware. A lot of times when we think about training, we're thinking about a full day session, a half a day training. And one of the things that really can be a part of your ongoing continuous training for your team members is use what's called micro courses. So what's a micro course? A micro course is a very short, condensed course. Sometimes they'll only be 7 minutes, 3 or 4 minutes, could be a little bit longer, but they realistically cover one subject matter. And using micro courses could also be something that could benefit you greatly. Several years ago on our online platform, we started what I call tidbits. And we have tidbits on our platform for technicians, for office workers, clericals, CSRs, warehouse people, even managers. So again, the idea is here, if you're going to build that team of subject matter experts, which it really takes to meet your customer promise and deliver what you're promising to your customers, you need a highly trained workforce. And as we go through every year, being able to be that subject matter expert means we have to be on a path of continuous education. In other words, a subject matter expert is going to be a person that is also a student for life. So, Josh, what's your feeling on the need for continuous ongoing training for a top level, A-level group of teams?
If you are a manager that's constantly answering questions about how to do things, then this is one of the things you need to do. Because if they're asking you questions, that means they don't know the answer. It means there's a lack in or a gap in training.
It is. And it also goes down to the systems you have in the business. You got to have the systems for your people to follow, the documented systems. There's so much information in a leader's head and an owner's head that if you don't have the documented systems, you're not going to have a place for those people to refer for their answers. And what's going to happen? You're going to get a knock knock or somebody standing at your door, or they're going to be calling you on the phone or texting you for the same answers over and over and over again. Josh, can you sympathize with what I just said?
Oh, been there, done that, lived it.
Yeah. So what's the answer?
Training and SOPs, documentations.
Yes, that's it. Documented systems.
That was always my answer. Well, what does the system say to do?
That's it. So a involved company that's really going to move to the next level in what they're doing, they're going to have an ongoing continuous training program. One of the things you see these companies do is they have morning meetings and they throw a short training into these meetings every single day, and they sustain this momentum year after year after year. And that's how they become top level and how they end up as the leader in their market areas. So Cheryl, your turn. What do you think about this need for ongoing training?
Well, first, one of the things I'm always getting people saying is, I can't afford to train my people. My answer is, you can't afford not to train them, because without the training, they're going to do it the way they quote see best, which may not be the best answer for your company. So you don't have to have long 3 and 4, 5 day week trainings. Just like you say, the spot trainings, something to keep them learning. If you don't keep their minds active, they'll soon just fall into this same little ripple, and that's where they'll stay without continuous acknowledgement of training.
That's it. And another thing about this, the short condensed trainings, you're going to have a higher retention of the information. If somebody sits through an 8-hour course, a 2-day course, how much do they really retain? Is it 15%, 20%, 25%? But what we find in the micro courses, the shorter, very detailed, condensed forms of training is we raise that retention rate up to an 85, 90, 95% retention rate. So Josh, what ideas you got on continuous ongoing training like we're talking about here?
Well, just besides the technical stuff, you can also do company policies, procedures, write SOPs in the morning, go over yesterday's screw ups, triage them so everyone just sees what went wrong. It's not bad just to pull out a page out of the company handbook and just go, okay, we're just going to go over today's drug policy or workplace accidents, what to do in the event of a workplace accident. That was a thing because our office manager used to keep the forms locked in an office. And I'm like, well, you're off this week. So those are always good things to do.
Yep, it is. It very, very much is. Cheryl, what's any additional ideas you've got on this input into this need for continuous ongoing training we're talking about here?
Well, during the training, you also learn from the students. You learn what they need. You get the idea of what's not going on. And you were talking about the retention earlier. The status is 10 to 15%. So 10 to 15% of an 8-hour is not a long time. It's basically an hour. 10% of a 10-minute is a whole different thing. So the thing about it is people just have to realize, think about themselves. Did they learn without training? A lot of back in the years when you first came into it, you tried it. If it didn't work, you failed and you started over. But today we're really trying to make it a slimmer, neater time than it was then. And these people don't need to learn by osmosis. They can actually learn with training. Back in the early days, the training just was not there.
Yep. So how do you build the content? Why do you know what's needed? To be honest with you, that's going to come from several things. One is going to be the tracking and measuring of mistakes and waste and chaos in your business. How often does chaos strike? I know I've talked to several clients in the last 2 days that have had very large jobs that things went very much awry. And what happened was the people involved deviated from the systems. So when you find out your people are deviating from the systems, you got to go through and retrain because people are going to forget what's there. There's also this need to move to the higher level. I know a lot of times we think our workers, they get their certification, their industry certification, and now they think they're subject matter experts, when really there's nothing further from the truth. There's a whole lot more that they have to learn if they're going to be a true subject matter expert. And again, A-level players have to understand they have to become students for life, and they have to learn to suck up the information stored in their brain cells and use it every single day. So, Josh, excuse me. So, Josh, any additional words you've got into this subject matter?
Well, my favorite top level technicians are always the ones that read a manual over and over and over and over and over. Those were always my favorite guys, and they're always the ones that did the best. The kiss of death was always when the guy said, well, I already know it all, or I don't need to know that, or things like that. Those were some toxic traits that just, okay, immediately we need to move this guy out of here.
Yep, that's it. Cheryl, any closing thoughts from you on this subject?
I've noticed that in companies where the owner and the leaders are going to trainings themselves. And I think that sets a precedence for the people under them. If they see that their owner and their leaders are getting training, a lot of them actually will ask for it. And you base a lot of what we do here on the problems that you hear through the week. So we're actually training people on how to train people.
That's it. So your secret is track and measure what's happening. Track and measure your failures. Track and measure the chaos. Build the content. Build the curriculum. Schedule the time. Can you fit in 5 to 7 minutes for a brief training every morning to get the day started, to fire your people up? I think when you get into this process, you're going to see that it's going to provide you a very good return. One of our guests, Tommy Mello, he's often talked about his morning mojo meetings where they have these within A1 garage door. And we see other companies doing the same. See what works, put it to work for you and your company. Look outside yourself. Find out, how are these true success stories getting to the levels that they're doing and ended up owning their market. So anyway, we appreciate you joining us today on this episode of the CVC Home Service Success Network. Appreciate you being here, whether you're here with us on the live or you listen to one of the replays through the week. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next Friday on the next episode of the CVC Home Service Success Network. Thank you and have a fantastic weekend.